And just so we know, this is Clarence working through the solution for the first week's assignment of having SCM Globe Cincinnati Seasonings run for 30 days.
So Clarence,
Okay, have
take
at
it
it,
away.
Clarence.
Yep.
Okay.
So, phrase the question. We should all, kind of get in on the answer. Kevin, this would be a great opportunity for you to just type in whatever you think in the chat box, and we'll make it happen.
So what I'm doing now is I'm gonna I plugged in the 1600 number, and
Right.
then I'm reloading
Yep.
the supply chain.
Yep. Now, these answers that we're going to be talking about aren't necessarily the best. As a matter of fact, that answer for the Fort Wayne problem is not a great answer, but it is an answer. And we're going to focus on getting to 30 days. And then, like Frank said, you will circle back and start making it more fine tuning your answers. So main thing is just do what you think you need to do to get to 30 days. So let's see what happens when we run this.
Okay.
Click on play. Yep. And then as we start to gather some data, like we're getting data now, start clicking around and, click on the DC, and you can see the blue graph is showing us on hand amounts. So we're going up at the factory, going down at the DC. Click on the Louisville store. We're going down at Louisville. If something doesn't happen, we're probably going to run out in Louisville. If you scroll down even more, you can see the other stores like,
Yep, Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. Oh yeah, yep. Run out of Spicy Cube at the Louisville store.
But you could already start to see that as you click through the displays. And so now we have another question. We've run out of Spicy Cube in Louisville. What do you think we should do?
I think that I think that some either get some from another store or get some from the distribution center.
So let's click on the browser tab that's just to the left of the one that we have open. It says edit screen. It says SCMG. Yep. And we'll model let's model the decision to get more down, deliver more to Louisville from the DC. So and also you can redraw your supply chain whenever you're in the edit screen, and you zoom in on a certain thing, we'll blank out the rest of it. But if you click the browser refresh, which is the curled arrow, yep, click that. And every browser, whether it's Safari or Firefox or Chrome, they all have a browser refresh. I think most of them even use the curly arrow. Some of them maybe use, but you should know what your browser refresh is. And so now we've got this map of our supply chain, and let's zoom in on the factory. You can see the factory icon and the warehouse icon for the DC. Like there's the store, and yeah, like when you put your cursor and it's still the fist, if you double click now, it'll start to zoom in on where, and that works on any computer, Apple or Windows. And let's keep zooming in, because we know that we've got the trucks there are at the DC. And it's just a good idea to kind of get that situational awareness. So we're not just talking about abstract places. And now see in the upper left corner where it says satellite and map, we're in the map view. Yeah, go to the satellite. You have to get the pointy finger right. And
there we go.
and now you can see there are real supply chain distribution centers here. And you would expect to find them because it meets that criteria of where do I put my supply chain? Will I put it at a transportation hub on the outskirts of town so my trucks don't get stuck in downtown traffic, and I have multiple shipping options, which is a mouthful.
You also see you have rail here.
Yes.
You have the main interstate here,
Yes.
75. Yeah, that's pretty good. And
So
then also you also got waterways too,
right?
Because you're near the Ohio River, so
You've got a lot of options. And so if right now, if we want to get more trucks down to Louisville, well, let's click on in the menu to the right of the screen there where it says facilities. Let's click on facilities, and then let's click on the DC, the Seasonings DC, and then let's click on vehicles underneath there. Now we've got 4 trucks stationed to DC. We need to figure out, well, which trucks run to Louisville. So we could just,
So I need to look at the routes.
well, go ahead and click on the route right now. Now it'll say, please select a vehicle. So you always want to select your vehicle, and then it'll tell you what route that. So just start clicking on them, and yeah.
That's it.
And now also let's pull back so we can get that big picture of the supply chain. You know, I'm sure the phrase situational awareness is one you've heard once or twice before.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So we want to get situational awareness, and I think, I mean, just as a personal preference, right? In the map view, when you're high up, the map view is a good way to see things. So all right. So we can see that's the route that truck number 1 is using. And then you can see something about it when you look at those pop-up boxes on the left side of the screen. And good. Now, a couple of things, just screen management. Right, exactly. Move it around. You can even close the box for the facility because we're not going to be doing anything to the facility. We'd just be working on the truck and the route.
Okay.
So now we've got some screen opened up. We can see the route. We got the data, you know, and this just starts to build your mental model, as well as we got loads of analytics. So now what we can see is we've got truck 1 runs down there, and we can see when it runs its route, it's dropping off 20 of the spicy cube. And if we go back to vehicles and click through the other vehicles, let's see where they all go and see if there are any other vehicles that go to Louisville. Okay, so that is a multi-stop route that's going to Indianapolis, up to Fort Wayne, and then back to the distribution center. And then let's click on, let's see what some of the other, where the, like number 3 then. So truck number 3 is going to Indianapolis. And then, and you can always click on its route if you want to know, but I like to first find out where the truck's going, and then I want to know what are they doing when they go there. So truck 2 is also now going down to Louisville. So it looks like we've got 2 trucks to go to Louisville. And then now, like, we've already checked truck number 1, and we saw what happens on its route. Let's click on Cincy to Louisville and see what truck 2 does when it goes down there. So it's doing the same thing. It's dropping off 20. And when you look at the specs for the vehicle, we can see that, you know, its type is a truck, you know, / small, and you see the little drop down arrow next to it in the other dialog box, the one for, click on that. And so you've got a lot of other vehicles you can choose.
So yeah, just maybe just upgrading to a medium one versus a small.
Well, basically, you think to yourself, now how many spicy cubes do we want to get down to Louisville every day? What's the daily demand in Louisville? And that's why, one of the reasons why we keep the simulation tab open. And you can see that right just to the right of the edit screen tab.
This one.
Yep, click on that. And we can see in that facility statistics box, it says demand per day for the spicy cube in Louisville. A little bit more to the left, right there. She says demand per day, 100, yes. 100. So now, and you know, we don't want to change demand. I mean, this is real software. You can change any of the numbers you want, but it doesn't make any sense in a learning environment. You wouldn't change demand. You would work on filling demand. So, and you could imagine basically in this situation, your store managers would have sent in, next month's demand. That's their job to figure out what the demand is. And as logistics person, your job then is to fill demand. So what could we do then, knowing what we know now about this supply chain? What could we do? And we know we want to get 100. We could get 200 down there every second day, or we could get 100 down there every single day, that kind of thing. So now the question is, what should we do?
I think you should increase the on-hand quantity.
Well,
at
now,
the, at the,
no, we want to do that, but and because this is real software, you can change any number. You could do that, but in the context of this simulation, it doesn't really make any sense, because how did it get down there?
Gotcha.
So, and in the real world, and what you're basically doing is you're the supply chain manager. This is extremely realistic, actually much simpler than what you would really be doing, but nonetheless, you're facing the same problem. So Louisville store manager calls you up and says, "Hey, Clarence, I ran out of product. What are you going to do for me?" And you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get more stuff down there. What do I do? And that you're going to answer that question.
So then I would put the additional amount on the next delivery truck.
Yes.
Go down.
Yes, and you might need to increase the size, but so now if we click over to the edit screen, we'll make some decisions about how we want to get more products down there. And so now we can see we've got that one small truck, and we saw we have 2 trucks running down there. They're both small. Because we're keeping the math simple, when you click on the product, if you at the top of the menu on the right side, you see where it says product?
Top of the menu.
On the right side. On the right side of the screen. Keep going, sliding over.
Yeah,
right there.
there we go. Yeah.
And so we only have one product in this. Again, it's basically designed to get people up to speed, but you're still dealing with very realistic problems. So if you click on the spicy cube, you'll get a little pop-up box that will give you some data. There it is. It's a spicy cube. It costs $1,000, per cube. Weight is 40 kilograms, and it's 1 cubic meter, which is essentially a pallet load. And we did that also to keep the math simple. And so if I have a truck with a carry volume of 40 cubic meters, then I know I could get 40 of the spicy cube into that truck. In other cases, because it's not always so. I mean, in other cases, you may have a shipping volume that is more like maybe a meter, and a half, 1.5 cubic meters, that kind of thing. But what we're doing here is just keeping it simple, and 1 cubic meter is essentially a pallet load, which is what you'd be shipping. So now you make some decisions, and we can close that edit box. You can just, exit out of that the edit where it says edit product, and if you keep going down, we'll kind of scroll your cursor all the way over. Do you see where the edit product pop-up box is? Keep going. Right. Yeah, we'll just close that box. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot going on in these screens, but you'll start to get the hang of it. So if we want to model a solution for getting more products to Louisville to meet their daily demand, and we know that we've got 2 small trucks going down there, we can see each small truck would carry up to 40. Let's click on the routes. You can see on the right side of the screen. Oh, we've got the route. Oh, we have it open. I wanted to click on it. There it is. And what we can see then is for this particular truck, it drops off 20 when it goes down there. So what that means is we could put 20 more on to that truck. I know we could increase the drop size as much as 40. We couldn't go beyond 40 because the truck couldn't hold more than 40. And we've got 2 trucks then. If we max them both out, they would each deliver 40, which would be 80, and we're still short 20. Now, another thing you can look at is the vehicle, where it's the edit box for vehicles on the left side of the screen. And if you look at the very bottom, it says delay between departures. And so what that means is now our truck is based at the DC. So when the simulation starts, the truck is going to run down there to Louisville, as we can see right now, it's going to drop 20 of the spicy cube, and then it's going to come back to the DC and wait for 20 hours. So if I wanted to make the truck run twice as often, what would I do?
I would change that delay between departures time to 10.
Exactly. So we've got options as far as the amount of product we deliver and the frequency that we deliver. You know, because we can make this small truck run more frequently. We could, you know, what we could do is we could max out both trucks, have one truck run down there like once a day and the other truck run down there twice a day. And we'd be able to get 100 down there. Another thing you could do is you could say, well, you know what? Maybe all I need to do is just swap out for 2 small trucks, maybe just make it 1 large truck, big red truck. So Kevin is saying, can we all see that? Adjusted delivery time to 24 hours and up the truck size. Yeah, that would probably work. Let's see what happens.
Thank you, Kevin.
Do what Kevin did, and let's see what happens.
To adjust the time, what was that?
Well, he said he adjusted the time to 24 hours and then swapped out the little truck and made it a large truck.
Oh, okay.
Right, and then click update. Make sure you click update. Now, you might also be thinking, well, we also want to change the route. So let's click on the route for truck 2 there, and we'll change its drop quantity. Yep. Instead of 20, we can drop 100. That we can see the carry volume of that truck is 110. So we can just type in, yep. And then you might be thinking to yourself, I don't even need that other little truck to be going down. So I could just find that other truck. I think it was truck 1 was the other one.
It was DC, yep, DC truck 1.
And you see in the upper right corner, it says remove. There's a button that says remove.
Yes.
So we could just remove that other truck and then run the simulation and see what happens. Now you can keep clicking on the simulate button. It's fine. It'll open a new, see, it opens a new browser tab and you can run it. The thing though, is that if you, after a while, you'll get like 20 browser tabs open and the simulation itself will start to run slower and slower because it'll be running in all those tabs.
So you just go back into the other tab and then reload
You just kind of flip back and forth. So you could just close, because you close either one of your simulate screens. Like the one you used to have open, you could close that. It's over there just again to the right of the one you have open right now. The browser tab on the right, you can just close that tab.
Yeah.
Scroll a little bit further over. Either one, just click the X to close either of those tabs. Now you might have something on your screen that's preventing your view.
Yeah.
So you can drag it down. It always.
Yeah, I was able to close it.
Okay. Now, so you're using the browser tab, and we always think it's a good idea. You leave the browser tab open so you can always refer back to it and see what was happening when you're editing. And then now, if you look on this tab, it says reload. In the upper right corner, there's a button that says reload supply chain. Yeah. Click on that, and what you're going to do now is you're going to reload the changes that you just made in the edit screen to the supply chain model. And then we'll run it again, and we'll see what happens. And then pull back. You see where, yeah, just again, I think it's a good idea to try to see the whole thing. And, you know, watching the trucks move up and down, you know, people say, oh, that's silly. Not really, because what it's actually doing is it's your intuitive, your creative side of your brain is taking all these visual clues and making a mental model, which is what we call street smarts, or I have an intuition based on experience. You've been there before, you've seen it, you have an intuition. And simulations will help you build an intuition a whole lot faster and a whole lot less expensive than doing it in the real world. So that's what we're doing. All right. So now we ran out of capacity in the factory. And knowing this case as I do, if we can solve this problem, we are most likely going to get past to 30 days and maybe even a little beyond. And our goal here is 30 days. So click OK on that error box. And sometimes you're going to have more than one error, but you'll have to click OK. You know, it might find 2 or 3 sometimes, but then you've got a list of them, like it says right in the lower right corner there, not of storage capacity in the factory. So you can always see what your error was, and then it opens a box to give you a snapshot of what happened at the moment that the error occurred at the factory or wherever the error did occur. So, and then we've got a lot of data here on the screen, and then once we get to 30 days, we'll be able to download that and create even more, reporting and analytics. But there's plenty already here on the screen. And if you look over on the right side of the screen again, where it says facilities, the blue tab right there. So, and you can click through, like, let's click through. We can see our on-hand amount. It's going up at the factory. Right beneath it, it says the DC. So let's click on the DC. We're going down on hand and going down at the DC. Click on Louisville. Okay, now basically what's happening is, and that stair-step function, it means something. It's caused by the butterfly effect. What it basically means is one day a truck didn't show up. And so you do need to carry a little extra safety stock, as you do in the real world, because no supply chain ever works perfectly. So we're using a mathematical phenomenon known as the butterfly effect, which is due to the rounding errors. We do our calculations on the computer at 14 decimal places, which is, crazy. We only display 2. Sometimes the rounding error after a while will accumulate and a truck simply doesn't travel one day. So it mimics the idea that for reasons unknown and beyond our control in many cases, things don't work out as planned. So, and we can go down even further and we can look at the other stores. Yeah. So we're going up in Indianapolis and in Fort Wayne. We're going up. So, and you don't have to learn everything at once or examine everything once, but by continuously clicking around and just observing, you start to get that mental model. Whenever you see the line generally going up, it means we're delivering more than we really need. When you see the line as flat, that means you've matched supply and demand, and sometimes you're going to see a truck didn't show up, so you'll see that sudden stair-step function, or sometimes you'll see a truck shows up twice when it was only supposed to show up once, which happens in the real world too. So you'll need to carry a little extra storage capacity as well as extra stock. So if you go to the top where it says facilities, you can click on the tab next to it, says vehicles. So we got data here, and we ran for about 8 days. And you can see as of the end of day 8, here are the running costs for our trucks. If you click on the tab next to it for products, here's where, again, where the products, both in quantity and dollar value, where they're building up, where they're running down. And if you click on console, what we're doing is when you place those facilities, those icons on the map, you're creating a mathematical model, except you don't have to deal with the math, because behind that user interface, the computer is dealing with the math. And so by moving things around, like moving chess pieces around on a game board, which is kind of what we're doing there, you're creating a very rigorous mathematical model of the supply chain. And then we run that supply chain in a simulation and show you how well it works. And then depending on what you see, you make adjustments to the supply chain by moving vehicles, and moving the facilities, changing the vehicle routing or scheduling or delivery amounts. So we're not giving up accuracy, but we are making something here that is, the desire is that this should be, and we are working with the Army and the Air Force, and forgive me for a sales pitch, but they're starting to pick up on the idea that, hey, everyone from a supply sergeant to even a general could understand what is going on here. And you could whip up all, on a real mission as things happen, and like a bridge goes out or you lose control of a certain highway or something, you can reroute, you can almost in real time, you can show the mission commander different ideas. That's what you can do in the military world. In the commercial world, the same thing, hey, the bridge went out or the truck got, flat tire, we need to do something. So it's kind of, we live in a real-time world now. We're all talking about agility, resilience. A lot of that is being able to know what's going on moment to moment as it happens, and then come up with effective responses to things as they happen. So let's do this. What would you do to solve that problem right there that is down at the bottom on the right side where it says not enough storage capacity in the seasonings factory? If we can get that,
Kevin, you're welcome to chime in.
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I would, I think I would either push more to the distribution center,
Good
or actually, yeah, push more to the distribution center.
Right. A good idea. I mean, there are other ideas. We could produce less. We could, suddenly start shipping direct from the factory to the stores. You can try all those things, but as you have been, like if we click back, we're on console now. If we click back to facilities, and if we click up there, scroll up and click on the factory in the DC. So we're going down to the DC, and we know that all of our trucks to go to the stores leave from the DC. So we want product at the DC anyway. And if we click on the factory above the DC, we're going up, and that's what caused our problem. So, and we could do things like we could add more storage space at the factory. We could do that too. It would increase our rent cost. So maybe it would be a better idea, instead of increasing rent cost, to, like you said, move more products. So, and Kevin is saying, I ran a medium-sized truck every 3 hours, and that solved the problem. I think it will. Let's try it. So we could click over to the edit tab. Yep. No, you had it. Yep. There we go. And then we'll click on, now, the one, all the trucks except for one, because there's always an exception to every rule, are based at the DC. But if you click on the factory, and this is where clicking around and getting a sense of how that supply chain is structured is a good idea. So, in your clicking around, and you can click directly on the icon of a facility, and it'll open up the dialog box, or you can click on the facility name, either way. And so we see, when you clicked on factory, we see, oh, the blue line shows up, meaning there was a vehicle there. You can see the icon for the vehicle. So it's going to be basically, it's look, a little shuttle truck that's, pulling stuff off the assembly line and taking it out to the DC. So now we can see, and what Kevin was saying was, he said he made it run every 3 hours. Is that what you said, Kevin?
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Let's try it.
Okay, and go back.
Yep. Yeah, right. You got it. Right there. Just click. Yep. And reload. Yep. And now you can also start to see what's going on at these facilities. Like if we want to see, we're looking at the factory, we're still going up at the factory. Let's look at the DC. click down on the DC and see what's happening there. We're still going down at the DC. We might want to swap in a big truck. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't change the drop quantity. Did we? Did we change? No, we didn't change the drop quantity on the route for the big truck. That's the problem. What you can do here is you can just say stop. You see that button right there? Yes, just say stop. And then say, okay, because I don't think we changed the size of the truck, but we didn't change the drop quantity on its route. So let's go to the edit screen. And let's click route for the factory truck. We got, yeah. There's the problem. We're still dropping 30. Let's max it out. The truck can carry 110. So where it says drop quantity and you see the little pencil icon, yeah, click on that, and then we'll just type over and we'll put in a new drop quantity.
And you were saying that
We
so
can see. Well, now did we? Oh, we didn't. We also did not. You have to click update or it won't update. On the truck. Here I'm talking. I can't talk and think at the same time. Is my problem. I like to talk. So let's do this. We'll close that. Let's look at the truck and make sure we make the truck. Did we change its delay between departure? Okay, we changed its delay between departure. All right, so it's a medium-sized truck, so it can carry up to 60.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't change the route; it was still just dropping 30. So let's max it out and have it drop 60.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Yep.
And then drop quantity will be 60.
Right.
Update.
And then we should be good. You know, when you want to make sure everything is updated properly, you can just click on it again and I think we got it. Let's now, yes. And then we'll run it again. And then we'll take a look and we'll watch what's happening at the factory and the DC. And we should start to see the amount at the DC starting to go up, which is what we're seeing. Where it was going down, now it's going up. And there's many ways to do this. You know, you can send the present truck more often, or you could swap out the medium-sized truck and put in one big truck and send it. You know, there's a lot of ways to do things, and there's no right answer, but the analytics will start to show you that there are better answers. Now, our first objective is get to 30 days by hook or by crook, and I think we're going to do it. But then as we start to want to make this supply chain profitable, we're going to have to tighten up the way we operate, which is what we do in the real world. And another thing you can do, and I always think it's a great idea at first, to run your supply chain. We're running at the speed of this model of this sim right now is slow, and you can see that when you look in the upper right corner, it says speed slow, because you're thinking, you know, you're letting your mind absorb it all. But see where it says fastest? Go ahead and click on fastest, and boom, it'll run like greased lightning. The idea though is, you know, we're Americans, we like to do everything in a big hurry. But if you take a little bit of time up front, it'll help you to get the hang of it. Oh, by the 20th time, yeah, you can run it fast. So now we've run out of spicy product, or spicy Cuban Louisville. But look, if we look at the graph here showing on-hand amount, looks to me like we got well past 30 days. So let's click OK in the error box. And then if you roll your cursor over the blue dots in those graphs, it'll show you, yeah, you get a little display of what day it was, how much is on hand, stuff like that. So we're at day 36. We have we have reached the first objective, which was get it to run for 30 days. So now you can download all that simulation data and create a monthly profit and loss. 30 days is a month. So you see the button there, it says export results to Excel. Click it. Yeah, click it. And you saw it downloaded, downloading a CSV, comma separated value file. Any spreadsheet, Windows, Apple, Google will open that file. If you click on that, you'll open it up, and you're using Excel, so it'll open up in an Excel spreadsheet, and there you are. So you can see now, if you kind of, look through what you've got there, you've got the top, and I'll show you where you can see all of this explained in the online guide too. But we can see the on-hand report. So it's showing us and you can spread out the columns, and you see what they are. So what you're seeing there is by day going down the left side, and then by facility, which is what we're listing horizontally across the top, we can see what is on hand at each facility each day. And if you start to scroll down, you can see there's about 6 different types of data here. Our demand, what is each day, what's the daily demand at each of the stores? If you keep going down, you'll see the production, what's being produced every day at the factory. Keep going down. So now it's showing us, and these are cumulative numbers, but it's showing us what's coming in, what's going out. The daily cost, and again, it's cumulative, so you can subtract one from the other for your daily number, but our cumulative costs. And then finally, it's showing us the vehicles, what the running cost for the vehicles was as well, plus the carbon generated. So you got a lot of data here. And now let me show you something where you can download a spreadsheet template and then cut and paste this data into the template, and it'll give you a monthly profit and loss statement. So if we minimize the spreadsheet, yeah. And then see that the blue help button is, someone told us a long time ago, make it blue so I can see it. And they were right. But you already have that open. You can open it again, but right there with the blue sphere, you've got it open twice, because the other browser tab all the way over on the right is showing you see that going all the way up, the browser tab on the right, the rightmost browser tab. So, you're probably behind, you probably have something over your screen, so you can't.
Yeah, it's right here.
Either way. And so what you've got then is, and you could close one of those, yeah. So now here is your online guide. And did you get a chance to go through the 6 steps to getting started? So you see, if you look on the table of contents there, if you on the right side of the screen, as you scroll down, you can kind of see there. Plus, when you go to the home screen for SCM Globe, there's a blue button in the middle of the screen that says Get Started Now. Either way, it's going to open up the online guide, and Get Started Now will take you right to the Getting Started section, and you can go there by clicking on the Getting Started label right underneath. Yeah, click on that. So these 6 steps from the last 10 years of feedback from students and instructors, and we mean what we say there. The Fast Track Quick Start section below, in 15 to 30 minutes, you'll know enough to start. And so I'm kind of walking you through everything, and I'm maybe talking fast, and you may be going, gee, I don't think I remember what he just said. It's all here in the online guide. And the 6 steps, you see where we are in the guide right now. You know, underneath it is activate, then video. And if you keep scrolling down, there'll be 6 buttons for each of the 6 steps. Yep, right there. So there's step 1. And, you know, we can see from the view statistics that most people will look at step 1 and 2 and then jump in, which is fine. And we've tried to put a lot of data there because we know that that's what people look at. But as you start to get further into it, you'll need to know a little bit more. And whenever you start to feel confused, click on that help button, or if you already have the browser tab open, go and take a look, because there will be an answer. And like, let's click on step 2 right now. I'll point out a couple of things, because we know that step 2 gets looked at a lot and then the viewership kind of trails off for the others. We've tried to put as much as we can without just putting the whole, you know, the whole manual right there. But as you scroll down, step 2 has got a lot of good information, and it's definitely worth reading it, looking all the way down. You know, we tried it, like, for instance, what you're looking at, if you scroll up a little bit, just a little bit, like, here's a map of the system. We only have 3 screens. That's it. 3 screens, not 50, not 38. And then, of course, every screen can get to the online guide by clicking on the help button. So, and then right underneath it is this whole notion of flipping back and forth between the browser tabs is critical. And sometimes people don't quite get that, and then they find it very difficult to use. And if you don't get that, it will be very difficult to use and not a lot of fun. And we want you to have fun. So we'll discussion about that. And then we have 3 videos that basically will walk you through. And then for people, and you know, the thing with videos is you have to actually watch them. So if you want to just scan stuff, everything in each video is also then explained further in a tutorial, like create and edit supply chain, and like under run simulations. If you scroll down a little bit more, there's one here, you know, those links, simulation tutorial, analyzing simulation data. So you can get things with videos, you can get them with text and screenshots. And let's keep scrolling down a little bit more. And we know that people like videos. So as you keep going down, and then the 7, we do say, please, if you only look at page, you know, step 2, also look at, there's only 7 FAQs, not 110 FAQs, and we won't worry about that right now. Just know it's there, and you're going to come up against questions that you'll want to know those answers to. And as you go, the things like on laptops, often you're going to see you're going to have to back off the resolution. We kind of show you what to do. If your screen looks all crowded together, your screen is fine, but sometimes it looks all crowded together. And then this one here is actually from yours truly, Frank and I, about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was. Those little clips right there, see those underneath in the Q&A video book, if you, those links right there, and we don't need to go to all of them, you just need to know that they're there. And there are, you know, really good videos that just kind of walk you through answers to all those things. We've tried to label them as clearly as they are, so you know what you're looking for. So there's a lot of stuff. You know, 99.9% chance that if you have a question, you're going to find the answer in the online guide, and hopefully we've made it so it's easy to find. And it's important to know that it's there, but we'll continue. I'll walk you through stuff. So where we are right now is we want to create that spreadsheet. So let's do this. Let's scroll up. And underneath the second video, there was a link to a page called Analyzing Simulation Data. See that one right there? Yes, click on that. And as we scroll down on this, we'll scroll down to a major, you know, we've already talked a little bit about what those sidebar data displays mean, how to read them. Keep scrolling down. You know, and we've talked a little bit about what the upward line means, a downward line, stair step, all of that. We keep going down a little bit more. we repeat things to make sure people get it. And then here, export simulation data. Now we already did the export. And again, it's a screenshot. You look at the red arrows, you go, yep, got it. I click on that, and then I look over there in the lower left corner, and there's my data that came down. So we've done that. Now let's go a little bit further down, and here's a little video about that, and then a little discussion of the data you're getting. We keep going down. Now, right there where it says import simulation data into spreadsheet reporting template, that's what we'll do. And I'll walk you through it. But what it's good to know is that it is all right there. It is in the online guide. And if you have ideas about making it easier to use, we want to hear it, because this is always a work in progress. So, and as you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see in this right here, what we're going to do is, because you got yours to run for, I think it was what, 35 days. Other people might come up with a solution that runs for 32 days or 39 days. We want to always get a clean cut at 30. So what this is showing you here is what we're going to do is we're going to just cut off in the simulation data. We're going to delete the rows that go past 30. And then we'll cut and paste into a template that we're going to download. So keep scrolling down, and there'll be a link to that template right there. And there's a little bit of a video talking about that. Now, the way we've structured it is that we deliberately made the rent costs for the facilities higher than what they would be in the real world, just so that you need to get 5 stores before you can make a profit. People have a tendency to just try to cut their way to greatness, and saving is good, but the other side of business is growing revenue. So on a 3-store, and there's a template for the 3-store. On a 3-store, it's very hard to make a profit. I thought it was impossible until a gentleman in Green Bay, Wisconsin, about 5 years ago, who was working for one of the trucking companies up there, and going to school in the evening, and bucking for a promotion, came up with a way to make it happen. And I didn't think it was possible, but he got an immediate gold star, and his professor said, "Is this fair?" And I said, "Fair? All's fair here. I mean, you don't want to cook the books. You don't want to just, you can make a supply chain run forever at zero cost by setting demand at zero for all of the facilities. It's mathematically valid, but it's not a realistic solution in the real world. So what we're going to do here is let's first download a copy of the 3-store. Let's download that. So we click on that link, and it takes you out to Google Docs. And now you can see that you have view-only access to this, but you see there in blue type where it says download a copy of that spreadsheet.
Okay.
So we don't want people to change the master, but go ahead and do what it says there, and then you'll have a copy on your computer, and you can make any changes you want. Yep. Yep. And then you can see it in the lower left corner. You just download it. And now, yeah, click on it and we'll open it up. And there it is. Now note we've got 2 tabs. And we download it with some sample simulation data in there. And then the notes in blue are just notes for you to read. You can then delete those lines. You don't need to keep them there. But if you click on the simulation data tab, so here's an example of, see where we trimmed off all the data at 30. And it's all explained there in that analyzing data page. But what we've done is we've trimmed everything to 30, and then we just copied everything and pasted it right into that tab. And your numbers are going to be different than those. So you want to, and Frank, what's the best way to use our time?
Well, I think this is probably you're using it very wisely right now. Don't forget you need to click on that enable editing button up at the top, but then you'll you don't need to do it right here on the screen. You go through, the downloaded data from the CSV file, trim it off as Michael is suggesting. Anything larger than day 30, you just delete those rows, leave a space to the row, and then you copy that whole set of data and then paste it into this tab. You know,
Okay.
you'll eventually, you can paste over top of this, can you not, Michael?
Yes.
Because if you don't, then it's going to miss the formulas, right?
Right. You have to always get it. I mean, it's a very simple little model here, and it reads by position. And so it's just, let's do this. If you minimize that, and I'll just point out that the instructions are really hopefully clear. We've rewritten them a couple times. If we have to rewrite them again, we will. We'll minimize both of those so we can see the browser tabs. And what we want to do is the one with the blue globe on it that's just to the right or just to the left of the one you're in right now. Yeah, click on that one. And then what we'll see, these are the instructions. So it says, you know, like, now open the spreadsheet with your trim data, open the downloaded spreadsheet with the P&L reporting template, and follow those 4 steps. You know, 1, it says, click on cell A1 in the upper left corner. Are you seeing that? If you move down a little bit,
Oh, yes.
right there. And so those are the 4 steps. And now you're a logistics person already. You probably have a pretty good command of a spreadsheet. We're just saying that some people, you know, it's good to practice the spreadsheet because everyone's going to expect you to know a spreadsheet. And we're always surprised that a lot of people don't feel that comfortable with the spreadsheet. So this is basic stuff. It's Spreadsheets 101. But when you do it and you scroll down a little bit further, here's an example. And we're looking at one, you know, and in any of the screenshots also, if you click on them, you'll get a bigger picture of the screenshot. Click on that, it'll open it up. And so here's a simple spreadsheet that shows a monthly profit and loss. And you can start to look at some, you know, some things like the Fort Wayne store. We just increased the storage capacity. And so our rent went up. And because the rent is so high, given the sales of that store, you're losing money. And then if you look down, for instance, at the inventory days of supply, and you look over in the column there for keep rolling, and you can see we got a whole heck of 56.2 days of supply, which is too much. And so, you know, again, you kind of realize that finance and operations are 2 sides of the same coin. When you make a operational decision, you will see it's reflected in the financial results. So, you know, one way to get to 30 days was to increase the storage capacity at Fort Wayne, but, you know, the rent cost is really out of control. And so we're going to have to find a better way to handle that, like maybe deliver less, stuff like that. But it starts to jump out at you when you get this data, when you get to 30 days, you put that data into a spreadsheet and you start to analyze it. So you're exercising your street smart, intuitive side of your brain, and then your analytical side. And the merger of the two is power.
All right, let me just mention a couple things. So when you get to this, for 2 things. First of all, every week you need to save the ending simulation that you did. Give it a name, like week 2, week 3, week 4, you know.
I could show you how to do that. If you click over on the Edit tab, all the way on the left side of your screen. Yeah, right there. And just open up that tab. And then there's a couple ways to make a save, but one is, see where it says Option in the upper right corner? Click on that. At the bottom, it says Create a Save State. That's one way. Another way is and so now you've done that. Now, if you go back to your account management screen, you scroll up on this and you click on the button for account management. Just scroll up on the screen. You can push, there you go. You can see those buttons there, right? Yeah. Yep, click on that. So there you've got a save state right there. You can also do it right here in the account management. You've got a save button there.
Okay, here.
Yep.
And you may also want to do a save state anytime that you're going to make a really big change before you make it, because there's no backing up. There's no reversing changes once you've made them. So if suddenly something doesn't work out, then you'll have a backup copy of the previous state. But this is very important for two reasons. In week 10, you're going to be preparing, at least for ASCM 629, you're going to be preparing a summary paper that shows what your accomplishments were. It's going to be much easier to do it if you've got two things. Number one, you've got these save states for each of the weeks so that you can review them. And number two, that you've gone down and downloaded the data for that week, and you've imported it into a template. And when we later on, as Michael mentioned, when you add a couple stores, you're going to have to edit the template a little bit to add the other two stores. That's covered in the help in the online user guide. But if you have those two things, if you have the save states for each week, and you have each week a profit and loss statement, then you're able to create charts. You're able to compare week to week. You can do whatever you want or do many things to show the progress that you made when you're writing your summary paper. And this is true for all students. The only other commentary that I have is in ASCM 629, this term, we have 10 students. It's very true that you could have 10 different solutions. Everybody gets an A, even though the solutions are different, because there is, Michael said, there are some that are better than others, but none are necessarily the only way that you can run a simulation. So the purpose of the weekly discussions in ASCM 629 is so that you can show your results, describe any issues that you had. If you had problems, share them there. I will answer them, or other students may answer them. You should think of this course and this particular assignment as being one large team of 10 people, and anybody can help anybody else. Just like Kevin has given you some suggestions, you can give him some suggestions. You've got 8 other students to share your thoughts with. So that's why that weekly SCM Globe discussion section is so very, very important. That's where you share your results. You talk about what worked well, what did not work, read what other people did, and all of that content, you're growing it on a week-to-week basis, so that when you get around to writing the summary paper, the paper is almost writing itself. You'll go back in, you'll pluck stuff out of the discussions, providing citations if it's not something that you personally have written, and you'll refer to your profit and loss statements. It's a done deal. You've cooked the cake. So I'll turn it back over to Michael. Michael, we actually are
We're at the top of
starting
the hour
about
and a little
5
bit.
minutes
Yeah,
late.
right.
We're now about 5 minutes after. Mike mentioned JSON files. If you have to export the simulation, if you do run a problem, there's you can export to your computer a.
We see where it says
SOM
down,
file.
see that button there in the save states, it says download save state. Yeah, just click on it. And you downloaded what we call, because it's a .json, so we call them JSON files. And that's the file that contains the model of your supply chain. So if you wanted to send Frank or Kevin a copy, you would basically send them an email, attach that JSON file. When they got the email, they would download it to their computer, and then see the button there that says upload a save file. It's right underneath the search field, and then move slowly over to the right side, right there. And I mean, if you click, go ahead and click on that. It's gonna, so basically it opens up your directory, and then typically if you're on a Windows machine, you'll have a folder called download, and if you look in your download folder, you'll see your save state there.
And so, yeah, that's the important thing to remember about a JSON file is you can't double click on it directly like
Right.
many other files and open it. It has to be imported back into SCM Globe.
Yeah, it needs the application in order to run it.
Yeah, and
Right.
to run. Yeah.
So then you could make some changes and then send it back to whoever sent to you and say, hey, I love it, and I added some more stuff. Take a look at that. So there's a lot of collaborative capability.
Clarence and Kevin, we certainly appreciate your participation tonight. And Clarence, thank you very much for guiding us through yours. Yeah,
Yep.
we've helped you
Yeah, thank
complete
you for-
the week 2
We'll post this video. I'll have it posted by tomorrow at the end of the day. So, and I'll let Frank and the other professors know, so you can see yourself.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you very much for tuning in. I
Yep.
appreciate your thoughts in the chat box. All right. Well,
All right.
I think that's a wrap.
Okay.
And
And
thank-
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna
gentlemen.
stop the recording as well. Where do I stop the recording? Yikes. Oh, here we are.